I used to lie in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the clock tick and the old pipes hum, wondering if I'd ever get a full night of rest again. At 72, I told myself poor sleep was just part of aging. My nights were a cycle. I'd drift off, then wake up 2 or 3 hours later, shuffle to the bathroom for a sip of water, and spend the next hour trying to fall back asleep. The next morning, I'd drag myself out of bed groggy, reaching for coffee I knew would only make me jittery. But everything changed when I stumbled across a piece of advice that seemed almost too simple. Stop drinking plain water before bed and sip a warm drink with natural sleep-supporting properties instead. Skeptical, I gave it a try, and to my surprise, I began falling into deeper, more restful sleep, sometimes without waking until the sun peeked through the curtains. The drink I discovered was warm chamomile tea with a dash of tart cherry juice stirred in. Chamomile is something I'd heard my grandmother swear by, but I'd never taken it seriously. It turns out chamomile contains an antioxidant called apigenin, which helps the brain relax and signals the body it's time for rest. Tart cherries, on the other hand, are one of the few natural sources of melatonin, the hormone our bodies produce to regulate sleep cycles. Together, the two make a simple but powerful bedtime tonic. The first night I tried it, I prepared it about 30 minutes before bed. I boiled water, dropped in a chamomile tea bag, and let it steep. Then I added a splash of unsweetened tart cherry juice, just enough to give it a rich, tangy flavor. Holding the warm mug in my hands was soothing in itself. By the time I finished, I felt a calm heaviness settle over me. That night I woke only once and fell back asleep almost immediately. It was the first time in years I greeted the morning without that dull ache of exhaustion. Encouraged, I made it part of my nightly ritual. Over the next few weeks, I noticed changes I hadn't expected. My mood lifted. I felt sharper during conversations, more present with my grandchildren, and even more motivated to get outside for walks. The little frustrations that used to wear me down didn't seem so heavy anymore. It was clear, deep sleep wasn't just helping me rest, it was healing my whole body and mind. I shared the trick with a few friends at my book club, many of whom also complained about restless nights. At first, they laughed. Tea instead of water? That's your miracle cure? But several tried it. One woman, who had been taking over-the-counter sleep aids, called to tell me she hadn't needed a pill for a week. Another friend said he no longer woke up groggy at 6 in the morning and was finally dreaming again, something he hadn't experienced in years. Of course, I know this isn't a magic potion. It doesn't erase every sleep problem. Some nights I still wake up, especially if I've had a stressful day. But the difference is, I fall back asleep quickly, instead of tossing and turning for hours. And unlike sleep medications, this nightly drink has no side effects, no lingering fog, and no risks of dependency. It's just a gentle nudge from nature. Looking back, I realized that my habit of sipping plain water before bed was working against me. It kept me hydrated, yes, but it also filled my bladder and forced me awake. Replacing it with this warm, calming blend gave me not only hydration, but also nutrients that actively promote rest. It was such a small shift, yet it changed the rhythm of my nights. Now my evenings follow a pattern I cherish. I turn off the television, dim the lights, make my tea with cherry juice, and sit by the window while the steam curls upward. I watch the quiet street outside, sip slowly, and let the warmth relax me. By the time I climb into bed, my body already feels heavy, ready for deep sleep. If you're over 60 and think restless nights are just something you have to accept, I'm living proof they're not. Sometimes the solution isn't another pill or complicated routine. It's as simple as changing what's in your cup before bed. For me, drinking chamomile tea with tart cherry juice instead of plain water has restored nights of peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. And those nights have given me back my days. Brighter, clearer, and full of energy I thought was gone for good.